Hi, everybody. In this video, what I'd like to tackle here is share with you how, a way to consider or to go about taking your exam, for lack of a better word. It's what I do. It's certainly not the end all, the be all, or the way you have to do it, but I wanted to share with you how I go about taking my test, the strategy I use, the approach, so that you can think about it as well and what works for yourself as well. So let me share a screen to a whiteboard here, and I will use my experiences with when I take my supply chain certification exams, but this will certainly work for any exam at all. So in the case of the APIC certification, we need um, we get 150 questions and we have 225 minutes to take the exam. So essentially that's about a minute and a half a question. Now in our APICS exams, we have to get a 300 out of 350 to pass, but because our exam is a weighted exam, we don't know what those point values are, and we don't know exactly what we need to pass the exam beyond getting that 300, but it's not 85%. I will go with, for the moment, this is a Chuck opinion, don't hold me to it, but let's say out of 150 questions, we have to get 75% right. So what we're looking at out of 150 questions, I'm just going to grab my calculator because I can't do it in my head. Sorry, everybody. But if I go 150 times 0.75, I'm looking for about 113 correct answers. Now, again, this is strictly for example, but I want to give you some thought as you go through this and build your own construct around it. What I find for myself is if I can answer, I look at the first question, I read it, I try to understand it, what clues they give me, all that stuff. And then I look at the answers. And if I know it right away, I answer. If I do not know it, I mark it right away and come back because I want to get the ones I'm very confident of out of the way first. For myself, then typically I'll get about 90, questions done, 60 questions got marked. Now, I also tell myself in my head positively, I think I got about 90% correct, if, because those are the ones that I knew the best. So 90% of 90 questions is 81 right. And what that means then is I've got 60 questions left to go. I'm down to about 32 questions I need to pass the test. And I track this on the little whiteboard thing they give us just so I know where I'm at. Importantly as well is I do those questions in probably about 30 seconds. Okay. So even if it takes you 45 seconds, three quarters of a minute, then you've only used up 60 minutes out of that. So if it takes you 45 seconds, so now I've got 60 questions left. I need 32 to pass, and I have 165 minutes left on the exam. So again, I'll grab the calculator that's on the computer, and I'll go 165 divided by 60. Ooh, I got 2 3/4 minutes per question. I've got more time per question for harder questions. So then I'll come back and I'll say, okay, start working through those. And I'll probably get about 45 of those done. So I'm down to 15 questions. I've never marked which two I've gotten them down to. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I just don't have enough room to write those down or memorize those things. So I figure, okay, at a minimum, I've got them down to two. I got at least a 50-50 chance, but I have studied them. So let's say I get 2/3 of those right. Okay, 66%. Then that's another 30 questions I've gotten right. And I'm down to, I think I need about two more. I got 15 questions left. Those other 45 questions, let's say they take me a minute and a half. Then that's another 67 minutes I've burned up. So now I'm down to 98 minutes left for 15 questions. So now I've got what? Let me grab my calculator again. 98 divided by 15 is about 6.5 minutes per question. So that's even more time for 15 questions. I only need a couple more to pass. Usually out of those 15, I get another 12 done. Those are getting pretty darn hard at this point. So I'm going to go a little bit on the under optimistic side, and maybe I get a third of those right. Okay. So I only get 4 right. I've got 3 questions less, but I know in my mind I probably did a little bit better because I tend to sell myself a bit short. And now I'm ahead of the game and I feel pretty good. I've passed the test, but I was feeling good anyhow because I've been watching this and it builds up confidence. Those 12 take me, let's say they take the full, let's say they take 2 minutes. They take me more time. I've only used 24 minutes. So now I got 3 questions. I've got 25 minutes question. And honest to goodness, those last 3, I probably haven't got a chance. And so for myself, it's just like, okay, guess, don't count on it, but you should be there and you got plenty of time. And more often than not, interesting enough, I do a little bit better than I thought I was. But what I do is I take care of the easy ones right away. I work myself through it. I use these percentages on the left side to keep myself positive for that. Yeah, you can do this, Chuck. And then the right side allows me to realize I don't have to rush. So let me stop sharing here. My encouragement would be to think about how you want to go about take the test, put that structure in place in your head, and then plan how you want to track that during the exam. And if you've done your homework, you've done your studying, you'll pass. So I hope that helps.